All right, y'all. Welcome back to the From the Jump podcast. I am your host, Nick Ozuna, and I'm here today with a very special guest. We have Andy Nicholson, the creator of Dunk Camp, and I would say even one of the Dunk OGs, at least for me in my generation. You've been around for quite the time. When did you, so yeah, kind of just get into your background and how you got into all of this.
Well, what's up, Nick? That's good to see
Howdy.
you, man. Um, yeah, I've been at this for a while. I've always loved jumping and dunking, and it's been kind of a lifelong pursuit, and still going out at it. And I think um, where it started for me, just midlife crisis. I wanted to see if I could dunk, as I was about to turn 40, and started training like a madman, and started making some really good progress, and got so I was dunking pretty well in my 40s, and one thing led to another, and that started. I'm 53 now, so that was 14 years ago when that whole
God.
thing started, and a lot of stuff has happened since then. But that's kind of where my old man dunk journey kind of set things rolling for a lot of cool things that have happened since then.
No, and that's super cool. Your average 40-year-old is not doing nearly what you're doing. So it's very impressive to even see people in their 40s even want to get into something like that athletic. So what happened when you were 40 that you were just like, I want to dunk? Have you always been playing basketball like your whole life and it was always been a goal? And then you just thought, why
Yeah,
not now?
yeah. So I grew up in the Michael Jordan era. Was Still am a huge Michael Jordan fan, and watched those dunk contests when I was a teenager, and him and Spud Webb and Dominique Wilkins, and so kind of that era. And so yeah, I just wanted to be like Mike, like pretty much every other basketball player.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I just kept playing. Still play a couple times a week now.
Uh-huh. Got you. So, kind of have you been playing basketball like all your life, like ever since you were a kid? Or did you just
Yeah,
only watch, say what?
yeah. Yeah, I've been playing. I've been obsessed with basketball since about 14. I started with baseball, and then got into basketball. And basketball to me was just so much more fun. So I quit baseball and just focused on basketball. And I still love the game. I love to watch it. I love to play it. I love to coach it. I like everything about it. It's just, to me, it's the best game. And then dunking is so connected to it. To me,
Right.
dunking is the uh, most exhilarating thing to do, most fun thing to do, and it's like the most just uh,
Beautiful expression of just movement, just explosiveness, training. It's art. It really is such a beautiful thing. And like basketball itself
absolutely.
is such a beautiful game, but and it kind of to the opposite of what you said. As much as basketball and dunking are super similar, they're also very, very different too. Like dunking is a completely different sport from basketball, and a lot of people from the outside perspective look in and see, oh, these guys are just playing basketball. Dunking is just another part of basketball. But as dunkers know that we can't just be out here like we're not out here like practicing shooting a ball. We're not out here reading defenses or anything like that. We're in the gym training to be the best we can on a certain day and jump as high as we can and do some crazy stuff. You know, another thing I also remember I liked hearing was I was listening to a Connor Barth podcast. He was on, I think, the Dunk Talk podcast, and he was saying that jumping is one of the most explosive and athletic things you can possibly do. And I just thought it was really cool. I just think, yeah, just dunking is such a beautiful thing. And the fact that you created a camp and I want to get into this more, the fact that you created a camp that allowed such a niche group of people to find each other and build it has been such a great inspiration. The amount of young people that you've inspired has been crazy. And so I appreciate you for that. And yeah, I think it's super cool.
Oh, thank you, man. It's been so much fun. So grateful to be part of it. It's something I just still have a lot of passion for and love doing. And our next one's coming up here pretty soon, and I think it's going to be our best camp we've ever had. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what should someone going into this camp expect to see?
A lot of the same things we've done because I think a lot of what we've done has really worked well. And so
Mm.
something that I was thinking about this yesterday, I can't think of anything else in the world, and maybe this is a little bit, um, I don't know. I don't want to come off like we're so cool or bragging or whatever, but like I don't know of anything else in the world like dunk camp because you can't. I mean, imagine if you wanted to go learn from the very best in the world at something. I don't care what it is. Like it could be um, skateboarding, it could be golf, it could be I don't know, name anything. If you wanted to learn from the cooking, if you want to go learn from the very best in the world at that thing, could you do it? And dunk camp, I think, as far as I know, it's very unique in that sense that you literally get to go meet and learn from and hang out with and dunk with the best in the world. So it's a pretty unique thing that the dunk camp allows athletes to do because I don't know of anything else like it where you're like, yeah, I want to go learn golf from Tiger Woods, or I want to go learn how to skateboard from Tony Hawk. Like it doesn't exist as far as I know, other than dunk camp. So that part of it is, you know, one of the reasons why I think people will come from all over the world. We've had athletes from over 30 countries come to Utah to
Yeah.
to participate and be part of dunk camp, which is that's pretty crazy when you think about it. So it's kind of become, some people have described dunk camp as the Olympics of dunking because people come from all over the world to participate and also compete because we have dunk contests at the end of camp where athletes can, dunkers can compete against each other or, against yourself really. But it's important to us as we try and build the sport that you also get to compete in a dunk contest. So no matter what level you're at, so we have contests that are really set up based on kind of where you are as a dunker. So it doesn't mean you have to be, absolutely killing it on 10 feet. You could be, more, maybe you're at dunking on an 8-foot rim or dunking on a 9-foot rim. So we kind of scale it based on where you're at as a dunker. But we really push and encourage everyone that comes to camp to compete in one of our dunk contests, if nothing else for the experience, because it's not, unfortunately, hopefully this will change, but right now, if you wanted to compete in a dunk contest, that's not easy to do. They're not like
No.
one, it's not like one every weekend, like
Yeah.
in
It's
your
not like
city,
NBA
right?
schedule, NFL schedule. It's not at that.
No, I mean, there's rec leagues for pretty much anything. You can go play pickleball, like name a sport, but dunking is hard from this standpoint. If you want to compete, there's not a lot of opportunities, and so that's another reason why we're starting to hold more of our own dunk contests outside of camp, just because we want to give. If there's no opportunity to compete, there is no sport. So obviously, you can go have dunk sessions with your friends and everything, but sport is also about competing and competition, and um, that's something that's really, really missing from the sport right now. And so we just held one a few weeks ago, and of course, your good friend Andy
Yes,
actually
sir.
won that contest that came out from Texas, and
Shout out to
uh,
Andy Belay. And we were using the new WDA scoring system too, right? During the whole thing.
yeah, it continues to get refined, and I think it continues to get better and better. But yeah, we're using the WDA, and that's another key factor if you want to talk about the what's needed for it to be a real sport. Is of course you got to have
The scoring
rules
system.
and system that, and it's not just a system. It's like you have to have. It's like imagine going to play basketball and no one knows what the rules are. You have to have a set of rules and guidelines that everyone agrees to and understands that or you can't really have a contest or a sport. Athletes have to know what the rules are, and so
Right.
that's
And I also feel like what makes it difficult too, though, is that in dunking, yes, there's also some like super rules and guidelines to judge a dunk, but I think there's also an element of the person watching the dunk and their experience and how they feel about the dunk. Because I feel like not all dunks are created equal, but some dunks are equally as good. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's a I feel like there's an ounce of opinion that is put into those things. I don't know.
Well, it's always going to be somewhat subjective, and
Hmm.
just like, and there's other sports that are like this, right? Snowboarding and diving, gymnastics. You have the human element that is involved with judging, so there's always going to be somewhat subjective, and all of us have dunks that are more we like more, and so you're going to have a bias towards if someone does your favorite dunk, you're gonna probably be biased towards giving that a higher score. So
Right.
we actually have done some things to help with that, but there's always going to be somewhat of a somewhat subjective. Um, it's not going to be perfectly, in a basketball game. There's just you put the ball in the hoop and you get
Right.
points, but it's always going to be somewhat subjective when it comes to dunking because that's the nature of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think WDA is for sure a huge step in the right direction. I mean, was there even any other types of scoring systems before WDA, or was it kind of just like what the judges thought? Like,
Well, I think for the most, and like the NBA still does it for the most part, is what everyone's pretty familiar with is just, you know, each person gives a score out of either 1 to 10, and you add up the judge's score, or each judge is, like in the NBA this year, it was 40 to 50 was the range. 40 was the lowest score, 50 was the highest
mm,
score. And then you had five judges, and then they averaged the score among those five judges. And that's kind of what we've seen. The WDA system is the first one I know of where it starts taking into account multiple factors, flight, style, finish. Those are the kind of the three primary components, and then you have this complexity score that is based, again, to your point, on the difficulty of that dunk, because not all dunks are the same. And so if you do what's really hard about dunking is if someone does like the hardest dunk possible, or they do like a really simple dunk, but they do it perfectly
mm,
in the standard way of judging, both dunks would potentially get the same score. And that's where complexity kind of solves that problem because it basically gives you the ability to earn way more points because a perfectly executed, very difficult dunk should score higher than a perfectly executed basic dunk. So
simple dunk.
that's how complexity helps address that problem. And I think we have it uh, 90% of the way there. It'll continue to get refined, and new dunks are still going to get created, right? So it's going to be something that kind of evolves, and
Right.
and will continue to get updated because there's a complexity score tied to specific dunks, and then some of the different things that you do, whether you go behind the back, under your legs, you jump over an object, whatever. So that, but Justin and CJ and those that have been working on the WDA system have they put so much time into it, and I think it's really good.
No, I think it's super great for the community in general. But yeah, I think it's also really great that y'all are starting to like. I feel like every year the Dunk Camp is doing something new. We're building on the community. I mean, these contests is really cool too. We saw even Isaiah go and hit a 50 at just on a contest. I didn't ever hear about this dude before, and he just comes out and he's jumping as high as some of the top guys before. That was insane. I mean, because you saw it in person too, right?
Yeah, man, that was so fun. So yeah, we decided to start doing max vertical jump contests along with dunk contests, kind of tie them together, and that was the one that we just had a few weeks ago. And yeah,
Yeah.
Isaiah, I had until he applied to be in our event, I hadn't come across him. I wasn't familiar with him, so I saw on his Instagram that he was claiming that he had a 50, and I
When
saw
you
some
hear that, you're
results.
like, okay.
I was like, well, let's see. I mean, he posted a video of him testing, um, and it's hard to tell in a video, and he was using kind of a rickety old Vertec, a knockoff style version of a Vertec that had like broken flags on it and everything, and He was jumping really high. I was like, he's definitely high 40s, maybe he's 50. I don't know, but um, that kid can absolutely fly.
Hmm.
And it was so fun to see in person. And I'm just as excited about our max vert contest as I am about dunk contest because I think that's also something that there's a lot of really talented athletes out there who, maybe they don't want to do high jump because there's so much. It's very, very difficult. There's a lot of technical aspects of being able to somersault and do a Fosbury flop over a bar. This is just like pure raw jumping power. Who has the most bounce? Um, it doesn't require. It's just it's simple. It's like long jump. You just see how far can someone jump. This is the same thing,
Right.
but like who can jump the highest, literally. And so we're gonna be doing more of those as well. And we'll actually have that as part of our big dunk show this year. We're actually gonna do what we're calling the World Championship for max vertical jump, and so we'll have the highest jumpers there competing in that, and that'll be part of the dunk show that we have at the end of dunk camp this year. So we'll have that, and that'll lead right into our dunk show. Dunk show is probably going to be a little bit different than what we've done in years past. I won't say much about that right now, but um, we're definitely working on some things to make our that event more exciting and more fun. I think it's
Yeah.
already been a really cool thing, but we're trying, like you said, we're trying to make things evolve and make things better and better every year. So that's something that's going to be really, really awesome this summer. The combination of max vert, where I'm so confident we'll see a new world record set, and
At dunk camp.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, because isn't Isaiah's probably going to try and peak for dunk camp for sure, no? Or I don't
yeah.
know.
Oh no, yeah, I think so. I know they have a big session today, and I think the Isaiah Espinoza we were just talking about. I'm pretty sure he's out there with Isaiah and Donovan, and
John, Dom.
yeah, there's a bunch of heavy hitters that are going to be dunking today. So it'll be fun to see what content kind of comes out later today.
Yeah,
Kind
yeah.
kind of a big day in the dunking world.
So do you know if Isaiah's had any like traditional like jump training, or has he only been playing sports and has just had like bounce like that?
I didn't get a chance to talk to him much. I do know he's a very high level volleyball player. I think
Hmm.
he also was a very talented basketball player as well. I saw some of his basketball highlights. I can
Yeah,
just tell by the way he moves and the way he handles the ball, the way he dunks. He's a really gifted athlete. He's not just like a. He's actually. I think he's. Um, some guys are more like dunkers. This guy I think is actually a really good at his sports. I think he's really good at volleyball and he's really good at basketball.
he's just a
Uh,
pure natural athlete.
yeah. And as far as what his training goes, I know he coaches and trains athletes. I know I got a lot of comments about, hey, that's my coach, that's my coach. So I
Mm.
know he's also training athletes right now. But I want to get to know him better and know more of his background. But I don't know much about what he did to get to where he's at. Obviously, he played a ton of sports growing up,
Hmm.
and as far as like you know lifting and plyometrics and training and all that kind of stuff, I don't know much about that.
Yeah, well, I really hope he decides to actually get into dunking as a sport. I think I saw on his YouTube channel, I don't know if he's trying to go D1 for volleyball or something like that, but I know that he really goes hard with volleyball. But I mean, just the fact that he's punching I mean, he's hitting under both, and I don't think he's even tried it for that long. And it's kind of insane to say that at what, 5'9", 5'10". I think he has shorter arms than me too. So I think he's at like what, 7'7"? I forgot whatever his standing reach was, but it
Yeah,
was
his reach.
short.
Yeah, he's 5'10", 5'10" with shoes on, and his reach is 7'7".
Yeah, yeah. I saw like a video, it was like a reel he posted, and it was him not being able to dunk. I guess he was playing basketball in high school or something. And then in a year he was already East Baying. So I mean, if that doesn't kind of show the level of athleticism this kid has, Yeah, he's insane. So I definitely hope that I can one see him in person jump because that would be really cool. Or and that he also gets into the dunking community more. I think he would be really crazy.
I think he will. I mean, obviously, if he keeps going down the volleyball route, we may have to wait for him and to go have that play out for a few years or whatever.
Andy says he'll come
Who knows?
around.
Or who knows? Maybe he'll maybe volleyball turns into a big career for him because he you watch his volleyball clips. It's like, man, I can't imagine meeting that guy at the net. I mean, he's just absolutely
I mean,
smashed the ball.
the net's right here whenever he jumps every single time. It's actually insane. You know, I really I don't even play volleyball, but I can appreciate a good vertical jump. So that's really cool.
Yeah, same, same,
Yeah,
same.
same, same.
Yeah, that was
But you know what?
also. Sorry, I was just gonna
No, you
say.
go, you go.
I was just gonna say that that's part of what's so fun about us if we continue, and we are gonna keep doing more dunk contests and these max vert contests is we find athletes like Isaiah. Didn't know this guy existed, but there's other incredible athletes out there that if they just had the opportunity to showcase what they can do, all of a sudden you meet and guys like Isaiah. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering like what other athletes are like this out there because I'm sure there are some. I mean, I'm not saying that there's a ton of them because obviously he jumps higher than 99.999% of people,
He
but
jumps higher than people trying to jump higher.
yeah. But there's going to be some others out there that we just didn't know they existed. So I'm excited to see who else. We're going to do another one of these next month. We'll be announcing the
Oh,
date.
sick.
We'll be announcing the date and details soon. But like who's the next Isaiah Espinoza that we don't know yet?
Yeah, no, for sure. My money's on AJ Ackerson. Nah, but
He's
let's see.
coming up too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I was gonna say, I actually forgot what I was gonna say. But I do want to tell you that I do truly respect how entrepreneurial you are in terms of like how you made the dunk camp and how you've turned your passion for dunking into something that is also like a pathway for money for you. I think it's really cool, especially as someone who wants to start a business in the future. Like, I think it's cool how you kind of were able to tie the two, especially and around 40.
Yeah, I've also been pretty entrepreneurial minded. So I've started several businesses during my life. I've also had jobs and kind of gone back and forth between them. And when I started the dunk camp, I had a day job, and I started the dunk camp purely as it was different than any other business I had started because all the other businesses that I had started, my main and maybe this is why it's worked. I don't know, but my main purpose in starting that business was to make money, and
Mm,
but also do something I liked. But the main thing was like, oh, I probably make a lot of money doing this. With Dunk Camp, it was the opposite. I started it just as something I wanted to do. It was just a passion project. It was just for fun. It was something that I wish had existed when I was 14 years old,
yeah,
but didn't, And so I purely did it, not thinking it would ever really turn into like a big business, and it still isn't. It's not like the dunk camp makes a lot of money. Actually, it actually doesn't, to be candid. But it was something that I'm just really passionate about and wanted to do, and actually where uh, now we actually have the ability to I think have a pretty successful business is actually through the Vert Trainer, which
wow, really?
we can scale and so that's really where the from a business standpoint where the future is. The dunk camp I think will continue to kind of be what it is, where we bring people in from all over the world, have an incredible week, and it'll grow some, but it's really hard to scale something like that. Whereas if you have a product, you can just you know
Right.
if the
The
demand is
target
there.
market is so spread out, and the thing you're selling or is already so niche, and very few people are into it. You know what I was also actually wondering this too. So as more dunk camps happen, and as there, because each dunk camp has like a max number of people that can be there, right? So as more dunkers come in and go to dunk camp, more people are going to be re-upping on that dunk camp. So where does that kind of leave people that have never been to dunk camp before, like the people that are just getting into dunking? Because I feel like at some point everybody's just going to keep coming back to that same camp, right? And so all those new dunkers might be pushed out.
Yeah, we may add more camps,
Mm.
but I don't know that we'll add like it's not like there's going to be a dunk camp in every city or even tons of them all over the place. Part of what makes dunk camp special too is there isn't a lot of them, and so
Mm.
um, the fact that it's kind of just once a year allows athletes, I think, to have something to really train for. So it adds to your like, okay, it's like someone who's training for a marathon or training for an Ironman. It's like, okay, I'm gonna really peak, so I'm ready for dunk camp, and we ended up having a pretty good mix. Usually you have, and I think this year we're probably about 60 to 70% of the attendees are alumni, meaning they've attended before, and then the other 30 or 40% are new attendees. So um, it's a good mix, which is great because there's some OGs that pretty much come every time. And
Hmm.
I know you're returning. It'll be your second camp. Uh,
Yeah, and I have leveled up, Andy. I am ready to kill this 9 foot contest. You will see me.
I'm looking forward to it. I've been watching your progress, and
Yeah,
it's been
yeah,
fun to watch. So yeah,
yeah.
I think Andy's also leveled up since he was
True. Since the
at
back
camp, and
pain.
yeah, went through some injuries, and excuse me, he by winning our contest a few weeks ago, he actually gets in free to that was one of the prizes. It was $1,000 plus free entry to the dunk camp, which we've never done before, by the way. We've never given there's never been a way to like win a free spot at the dunk camp. That was something that we thought um, would be fun to do,
Yeah,
and
it's a really cool incentive.
absolutely. So I think we'll continue to keep running camp, and I think we'll still see a mix of some of the athletes that have come before, and then new athletes that are coming in, and when it makes sense, we will add more camps. But we're definitely not trying to like have them all over the country. I think the next thing we would probably do, just because um, there's so many athletes that have come from Europe, and actually we've had a lot of athletes come from Australia.
Yeah.
So it may make more sense actually to just have one in the United States, and then maybe we have one in Europe and one in Australia, something like that. So we might go international first before we start adding a bunch more in the United States, just because the way the camp is. So we've had it in Utah every year. We've also gone to Texas, where you and Andy attended. Went to Wisconsin last year.
Hmm.
This year we decided to make Utah just a bigger camp, but just do one. So we're not going to any other locations this summer. Uh,
Hmm.
so Utah will be a little bigger than it's been in the past. We're in a bigger facility.
Yeah,
Uh,
what was the gym we were going to?
so the place we're going to is a newer facility in just north of Salt Lake City, and it's called ZDI. And I think it's probably the best venue we've been at for a camp because of it's brand new. They have a really nice floor. They spend a lot of money actually put in like a little bit of a raised floor. So I think it's a little bit more bouncy. Uh,
Hmm.
and then there's those four courts like that all together, full size courts, not like small. These are legit full size four courts with the big monster NBA size hoops that adjust up and down. And then there's
Like
a
the ones
fifth,
that you wheel in, or the ones that you like drive in?
yeah.
Oh, wow, cool. Okay,
So
cool.
you can, you can do anything you want. You're gonna be safe hanging on these rims or whatever. And then there's a fifth court off by itself, also with two nice hoops that adjust. And then there's a training area. And one you asked about maybe some of the things that are new this year. We're actually going to incorporate a little bit more training have a training
Oh,
day at camp this year, which we haven't really been able to do, mostly just because of either how many athletes we have or access to,
weight room.
weight room and stuff like that. So um, that's something that'll be a little bit different this year. Is Monday, we're gonna uh, test and dunk right together. In the past, we've done like a morning testing and an afternoon dunk session. This year, we're going to just combine those together instead of having you jump twice. It'll go testing right into dunking, and then we'll do like some classroom and recovery stuff in the afternoon. So it should reduce having to warm up twice, right? It ended up being like a long session in the morning between testing and dunking, and then start some recovery in the afternoon. And then Tuesday will actually be a training day, more like focused on recovery.
Hmm.
Very similar to how most athletes train right now, right? So they'll do a jump day, and then the next day they'll do kind of like a lot of times you need to do like a training session that's trying to make you feel better. So not like a super intense, but Tuesday will be a day where we're trying to get you feeling healthier and better. And then Wednesday, we'll do some low rimming. So like still doing some jumping, but also but not 100%. Because Thursday is the big day.
Contest, big day, yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that's just a little bit different than what we've done before. And so we've seen some athletes, dunk camp's really intense. There's a lot of jumping. A lot of us who are addicted to this can't control ourselves. We jump too much. And so some athletes, because they haven't had the experience before, they overdo it. And so by Thursday,
Right.
they can't perform at their best. So we're trying to make some adjustments to help athletes with that. But at the same time, you have to have some self-control. Obviously, you have to be an adult and control yourself.
It's like you're asking me not to play basketball with LeBron, Curry, and Kevin Durant if they're at the same camp as me. That's what you're
Yeah,
asking.
yeah. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. Yeah. Um, the temptation is high, but this should help. Should reduce a little bit how much jumping is going on, and trying to keep athletes better able to have Thursday be their best day of.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you're like kind of building this into the 4 days because I think and that's what I'm saying. Y'all keep getting better every year. Like when I initially went, I remember I think I jumped pretty much every single day, and I remember I was gassed. I didn't even want to jump on like Wednesday. I was like, I'm done with this. Like, but yeah, it's definitely a lot on the body. It's 4 days is a lot. Jumping is a lot.
Yep. And so yeah, that's something that anyone who's listening to this that's coming to camp, I would encourage you to prepare for that. So um, try and slowly build up your jump volume to the point where you are jumping, a couple times during a week if you're not already. Just prepare
Mm.
your body for that because you'll end up jumping 3 out of the 4 days at camp. Monday will be very intense. Tuesday will be a training day, but a recovery focused day. Wednesday will be low rimming, so you're not jumping 100%. This is more to like work on technique and get you primed for Thursday. But Monday and Thursday are very, very intense. Tuesday, uh, recovery. Wednesday, a lighter day. But that is going to be easier to handle than what we've done in the past. So
Yeah, no,
we'll
that's for
see
sure
how
super
it
cool.
goes, and if it fails, we'll change it up
Go back
for
to the drawing board.
next time. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that some of these venues are okay with us like hanging on the rims and stuff. I feel like everybody's against dunking anywhere and letting us use equipment, and everybody's like, don't bend our rims, don't dunk.
Yeah, that's pretty common out there, and the gym that
You
I
ever?
go to, they just barely like 2 months ago put no dunking on all of the hoops, and you're just like, "Wow, okay, and no
Yeah,
one's no one's gonna obey that, but
no.
you can put the sign up there, I guess. It makes you feel better.
Okay, okay. Well, I actually do want to also get into your dunking and currently what you're doing in terms of training. So, what are you kind of doing right now? What are your goals with dunking? What do your training days look like? Kind of go into that.
Sure. So I just started, kind of restarted training. Things have been super crazy for me, with a lot of things that are going on with, especially with the vert trainer. Demand for that's really, really taken off, and so I've been spending a ton of time, working.
Hmm.
And so things have kind of got things more prepped for that and calmed down a little bit. So it wasn't that I wasn't training at all. Just my training. I've been training. What works best for me is training like 6 days a week, super consistent. And the last few months has been very sporadic. So it's been like 2 days a week, or one day a week, or 3 days a week. Like it's just hasn't been very consistent. So
Right.
I'm back on my training, and so I train 6 days a week. I jump, I sprint and jump twice a week. I lift legs twice a week. I do upper body twice a week. So um, it's pretty intense. I also play basketball, uh, usually 2 to 3 times a week. So I do a
Hmm.
lot, and uh, I can do that much volume because this is what I've done for. I've played basketball, so much basketball throughout the course of my life that my body is adapted to this kind of schedule. I wouldn't recommend someone my age, trying to do this much if they were just like just starting training or whatever. But that's kind of what my training looks like, is something like that. What I just
Yeah.
described
And
is
and so as like
intense.
an older athlete, what have been some things that you've had to learn as you've been progressing through your training that you might not have been that you might have to do now as an older athlete rather than when you were younger?
Um, One thing I've noticed is the recovery time has changed. I do get more sore, and so what I used to do, my training schedule used to be Monday jump, Tuesday lift. Now I've adjusted that to Monday I jump and sprint. Tuesday I do upper body, and then Wednesday I do legs. So I've had to add an extra day in there. I did it for the longest time. This is a recent one, just like in the last couple of years, where I used to still do jumping on Monday, legs on Tuesday. Uh, Now to the point where I've noticed like I'm so sore on Tuesday, because I also play basketball on Monday. So Monday is sprint, jump, and play basketball. I
Dang.
used to be able to do legs on Tuesday. Now I'm so sore and beat up on Tuesday that I found that my workouts aren't as productive as they could be. So I do upper body on Tuesday, kind of as a recovery day, and then on Wednesday I feel great again, and I can go all out on my leg workout. So that's one thing I've noticed. Um,
Do you do any flexibility? And also, how do you feel about static stretching? Because I think that's kind of a somewhat controversial topic in the dunking community.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of varying opinions out there. I think you need there's a like a minimum amount of flexibility that you need. And so you
Mm,
can do some simple tests and see kind of where you're at. And if you can't pass some of those minimum flexibility, like a simple example is if you can't just like touch the floor, like if you're standing up and you're like a hamstring stretch, like if you lack that much flexibility, then you probably should be doing some static stretching. But if you already have um, a minimum amount of flexibility, then static stretching probably isn't going to do much for you. Other than there might be like a therapeutic, like maybe you enjoy it, maybe so maybe it makes you
right.
feel better. So I think it's kind of one of those things where okay, if you don't have minimum amount of flexibility, yeah, you should do some static stretching. You also can do, I mean, just doing certain weight training, like if you have the good form, doing squats, full range squats, or doing full range lunges. Some of these where you're like actually loading it will also improve your flexibility. Um, there's things like that you can do. So I
Yeah.
don't know that you I would so I wouldn't recommend doing static stretching unless you like it or you don't have that minimum amount of flexibility. I think it's
Mhm.
better to for most athletes, um, doing more of a dynamic warm up, making sure the tissues are warm, and then you get improve some of your range of motion and your ability actually by loading it through when you're doing some of your other training.
Yeah, I found that even before I was static stretching, just getting into certain positions, like when I'd have to go and do like deep squats, just getting into that deep squat improved my flexibility over time. Doing dynamic warm-ups, of course, you're not holding the stretch per se, but you are getting into that range of motion, so you still are getting some benefits there. So you personally don't stretch like at all?
I wouldn't say I don't stretch at all. I just kind of, it's not like I have um, and that actually that's something that's changed because when I started my old man dunk journey 14 years ago, I was doing a lot more stretching, but I also wasn't very flexible. I'm not naturally flexible, and so I did quite a bit of static stretching kind of early on, and as I got better, I used to do static stretching. I used to do foam rolling. Um, Neither of which I really do anymore because I kind of got to the
Yeah.
point where I had kind of that minimum amount of flexibility I felt like that I needed. There was a time where, and I still can't, like, I got pretty enamored with people who could do a full range deep squat with, perfect form without elevating their ankles. And so there was a time where I was really working on my ankle mobility and, uh, long story short, I didn't really make much progress. Like my ankles just, as much as I stretched and as much as I worked on it, I couldn't really get much more dorsiflexion to make a difference in my ability to squat. Like it improved maybe just a little bit. And then, I finally realized where it just didn't, I didn't feel like it was going to change the game. And in fact, um, there could be some downsides of, or someone like me really forcing that, improving that range of motion or getting more dorsiflexion. Because one thing I noticed, if I went through a period of time where I was really, really, really pushing my dorsiflexion, I would get an ankle sprain playing basketball. Because I think what I was actually doing is compromising and putting my body in positions that it didn't want to be in, and actually weakening it. And so it could have been coincidence, but it happened. It happened enough times where I was really, really working on ankle dorsiflexion, and then I'd have an ankle sprain, like multiple times. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. It's not worth it. Um, and maybe if I wasn't playing basketball and I was just trying to be a dunker, maybe I could have survived because those ankle sprains are less common if you're just dunking. But that's what happened for me. That was my experience, and so I actually said, okay, I'm not going to keep pushing this. I'm going to give up my dream of being able to do a full range, perfect, um, deep back squat. I'm just gonna elevate my feet, and now I can get that range of motion that I want, and it doesn't put me in a compromised position. I can keep my torso more upright, and actually even targets the quads. I think a little bit more, which is can be a good thing. So, anyways, that's one example of kind of why I went away from doing a lot
Stretching.
a lot of stretching. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it makes you less prone to like breaking things, right? But like as you were saying, and in your experience, more prone to spraining things, right? Because maybe it's easier to like roll something rather than it just snap, you know?
It could be, and I mean, I don't know if that's what, but it happened enough times where I was like, this isn't worth it. Um,
Yeah,
Doing
yeah,
all these stretches specifically for trying to get that ankle dorsiflexion improved,
for
and
sure.
it just it backfired for me. It may not be for someone else, but that's the all of our bodies we move differently. So I think you have to. That's one advantage I have as an older athlete is I know my body really well because I've
Hmm.
broken it and messed up and done stupid things. And so I have a lot of data. I have more data than most people in this dunking community as far as what works for my body and how my body responds. And so I can use that to my advantage. Whereas if you're a brand new athlete, your training age is really low, you may have no idea. Like I don't. So you have to experiment and you have to try things. But yeah, I really understand. My knees starts to flare up. I know what to do. My back starts to flare up. I know what to do. Like I've had all these things happen where I understand. Okay, oh yeah, that's happened again. So I know what to do.
Yeah. So do you also feel like as an older athlete, you maybe are more disciplined in terms of being an athlete as well when you started? Like I feel like maybe some younger athletes might go and decide to play basketball all the time and do all this jump training and overload themselves. Do you feel like you kind of went into your training with just more knowledge of what you shouldn't do?
Yeah, yeah. I have a lot of experience. It's a nice way of saying I'm super old. So yeah, it definitely helps for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Do you do anything else like recovery wise? Like, do you ever hit like a sauna or do you ever go like do anything like that? Massage gun, anything?
Not much. I used to. Sometimes I still sit in the sauna. I just don't go to the. COVID really changed. I used to go to the gym every single day to work out. Now I train in my basement. I call it the dunk dungeon,
Yeah.
and because it looks like a dungeon down there. It's an unfinished basement, and it's dark, and it's cement floors, and it really feels like a dungeon. And so I,
Yeah.
I train there. And I don't have a sauna at my house or anything like that. But I don't do. The only thing I do from a recovery standpoint is sometimes I'll do contrast showers, so hot and cold, and I really like that. I think it feels good. It's like the kind of the wussy way of doing a cold bath.
Cold shower.
Well, because it doesn't get as near as cold as like an ice bath, but it's kind of it's the same idea. It's going from hot and cold. So I'll do that sometimes. Um, I think I'm not against recovery methods or anything like that, but I think they've been way overblown because the most important things to recovery are your sleep and your diet. And so I don't care what massage gun you have, what red light therapy what you're doing, what cryotherapy, ice bath, you name it. None of those things are going to move the needle if your diet and your sleeping isn't on point. Those are the two most important things you have to have. So, one thing I am doing way better on, and this is something I actually just learned, which is awesome, right? I've been doing this for a long time and I'm still learning. I started tracking my protein intake, and I realized that I wasn't getting near enough protein, and so I've significantly increased my protein intake, and that's made a big difference for me. This last year, we'll see if I can do this again. I'm not in great shape like I was last year yet. I'm on the road to getting there, but last year was a really good jumping year for me, and a big part of that was I improved my diet. I dramatically increased my protein intake. I also was doing a lot more max effort jumps using the vert trainer,
Hmm.
and those two things together made a really big impact on my progress. And so I was jumping higher last year than I had in probably 4 or 5 years, even though I was older. Um, so that's an area that I think a lot of athletes um, maybe just don't know. Like if you're not tracking it, you have no idea. So I assumed because I felt like I was eating pretty healthy. I'd have some chicken, or I'd have some fish, or I'd have some um, beef or whatever once or twice a day and a protein shake, and thought, oh, I'm good, right? I'm eating healthy, but I started tracking it and realizing I was only getting around 100 grams of protein per day.
Hmm.
Which actually, I think for a lot of people, that's still quite a bit. Um, but I found the sweet spot for me. Um, I weigh around 170 pounds. I feel my best and perform my best when I was getting around 185 grams of protein per day. That's where I started seeing progress and gains. So one simple thing for anyone that's listening to this, if you're plateaued or you're not really seeing progress, or maybe you're having a hard time with your recovery. It could be as simple as your sleep sucks and or your diet sucks. And so you fix those two things or both of those things, you'll probably see some progress. And that's what happened for me last year.
Yeah, yeah. No, I could totally see that too. I feel like maybe a lot of people try and make the excuses of, oh, I need like this red light, I need this massage gun, I need this ice bath. And like sure they all have their individual benefits, but at the same time, you also just have to be good at just doing the bare minimum basic necessities for the human body. So I think that's a really good point. And the fact that you as a 50, you said 53? 51? Oh, 53?
53, yeah.
Yeah, as a 53-year-old athlete that's doing all this and you just make sure you watch your sleep, you watch your food, and that's the most important things to you, I think that says a lot. I think that does say a lot. Because I know a lot of 20-year-olds who don't get a lot of sleep and are solely focused on getting in the sauna every day after the gym.
Yep. I mean, doing those things too, it's like what'll move the needle the most, right? Like sauna maybe like 1%, but 180 grams of protein in this example, that's way, way, way more important. Getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep, way, way more important. So um, sometimes people focus on put a lot of effort into something that's going to only make this much difference. And so I would recommend they turn that on its head and focus on the things that are actually going to make a big difference.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And in terms of your dunking, so what are kind of your goals right now with that? Are you going for any specific dunks? Are you trying to hit a certain vertical in the weight room, maybe numbers?
Yeah. My whiteboard here in the back has my goals written out, and
Oh crap. It's a lot.
so, so yeah, I actually need to update it because this was based on a few months ago, and I'm kind of restarting things. But yeah, by dunk camp, there's certain verts I want to hit. I'm really working on getting up my power clean, my trap bar, um, number of pull-ups. So I have very specific numbers tied to my body weight, my body fat percentage. For me, especially I think maybe as an older athlete, body fat percentage is even more a factor. So if there's any old guys like me listening to this, there's probably a good chance you have too much body fat. Just because most Americans, for dunking, I think you want to be, if you're over 12% body fat, you're too fat to
Wow.
to uh, to jump high, to jump your highest.
Yeah.
You may
Yeah.
not you may not be 12% to like feel good or like you know have high quality of life, but if your goal is you want to jump your highest, if you're over 12%, you're too fat. Then
Yeah.
that's just that's where I got last year. I got probably the leanest I've been in years and years and years, and at the same time strongest and lightest. So I was 12% body fat at 160 pounds, and that made a huge difference in being able to jump high. And so um, I have goals around that as well. So yeah, I have goals for everything, Nick. Certain dunks I want to hit.
What
I'm
dunks are you
very
going for?
so it's gonna sound very basic to you and other dunkers, but I just want to crush. I just want to be able to dribble in and crush a two-hander. Um,
Yeah, no, I feel that. So have you only gone up with one hand usually, or you ever really tried to?
I was I've hit two-handers a handful of times. I'm more so going off the backboard.
Hmm.
Um, But off the dribble, the number of times I've dunked two hands is very, very few times. So,
Yeah.
and I've never done a dribble in tomahawk. So um, that would be my dream dunk right now. It's something that
Yeah.
is, I think, obviously, who wouldn't want to East Bay or whatever, but in terms of like realistic, something that's possible but still pushing because that's where I think your goals should be. Um, Setting like, oh, I'm gonna dunk from the free throw line 3 months from now, that's a stupid goal because it's not very realistic. So you want something that's realistic, but also is going to challenge you, and that's a good example of a dunk that I would love to hit, and I'm working towards. So I still have not hit a windmill, so that's another dunk that I would love to hit, but more so to me, it's a simple dunk, simple for some people, but the just a two hand tomahawk, I think is one of the most beautiful. Talking about
Dunks.
earlier, like a dunk that you would probably score too high. Like someone who crushed it. Andy actually did the dunk in the dunk contest. He missed. I forget what he missed. I think it might have been an East Bay.
Yeah.
Try
He
it.
missed the East Bay, and then I think he went safe with just a two-hand back scratcher.
Yeah. So that to me, like I love that dunk because that to me, like I think it's just power in it, the how it looks. I love that dunk. So um,
Yeah.
that's one.
And
How
that's the
about you?
beautiful thing about dunking. Oh, for me,
Yeah.
so I only really dunk on 910. The rim that I usually go to is about 910. I have dunked on 10-foot rims in the past, but the one that I have access to is 910. So on that one, I'm trying to get the beginner dunks, honestly. I really like the dunk camp because what they allowed, it's not every single dunk that's ever been created, but it's a really good baseline for beginners to just take and just like get a solid baseline for jumping and getting dunks down. So I'd love to get all the beginner dunks down on 910. I'm punching one-handers super consistently. I've hit a two-hander. I can do off lob. I haven't got self bounce yet, so that would be probably up there. Off backboard too, that timing is so fast. That timing is so crazy. And it's like a three-step thing because like you got to kind of be kind of close to the rim because I mean at least now, and so you get like three good steps to get your max vert, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll see how I can do this. And not only that, it's so fast that catching it with one hand is a lot harder than catching it with two and dunking it. And I already can't dunk with two nearly as well as I can dunk with one. So it's like a whole thing. But other than that, I've gone for a couple good windmill attempts. I keep back rimming, but I don't know if it's a technique thing or a height thing, but almost there. But hey, from the first dunk camp where I remember Jordan Kilgannon threw me, I think it was probably one of my first official dunks on 10. He threw
Yeah.
me a lob and I maybe got like right here and like kind of pushed it in. And now I've definitely leveled up a lot more and I'm just so excited to continue this journey.
For sure, I remember that. I saw that and I filmed that first dunk, or one of your first at least at our Texas camp. Yeah, you definitely
Yeah.
leveled up since then, and it's been fun to watch. And I wouldn't be surprised if you get that windmill and some of these other dunks at camp. With the
Not a
hype
doubt in my
management
mind.
that's there. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yo, so I actually saw Logan got his first dunk like this past year, right?
Yeah, my son, he started dunking pretty well. Basketball season has completely destroyed his vert. They run those guys a ton. They do so much conditioning, and he's just now basketball season just ended, and so
And how does that feel as not only just a father, but as a father that really, really loves dunking? Your son finally got his first dunk. That's crazy.
oh, it was awesome. We still haven't really done it yet, but we've talked for a long time where we're gonna do kind of a father son uh, little dunk contest against each other and a dunk session. But
So what's
unfortunately,
Logan's bag looking like?
like he 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 hasn't done anything too crazy. Actually, I mean, he's kind of hit some baby windmills,
Okay.
um, but he got so he was dunking pretty easily, getting two handers, um,
Okay.
and he actually could self bounce.
How
Uh,
tall is he?
that little punk is
Little punk.
6'2".
Taller than me. 6'2"?
Yeah, he's 6'2".
Whoa, I think when I met him 2 years ago, I swear he was like maybe an inch taller than me. That's crazy. I didn't realize he grew like that.
Yeah, he's pretty tall and he's got long arms. His reach is like 8 feet, maybe even 8'1".
Oh, okay. Does he know his vert?
Uh, well, I think the best he tested was actually at dunk camp um, last summer. I don't know if he ever beat anything he got. That's the hard thing about when you're playing high school basketball. They have so many games, so many practices, and they just beat you up. So I think he got at. I'm pretty sure he touched. He's grown a little bit since then. So at dunk camp last year, I think his reach, we'll say it was 8 feet,
Okay.
and I think he touched 10-10.
8 feet to 10,
One
that's
130
24.
minus 96. That'd have been
34 inches?
134.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he got 34. I'd have to check the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that's what he got on his max vert last summer, and hopefully he's just started training again. Now the basketball season's over, and he has a little bit more time and away from the team, and he can really get after it. So he set some pretty big goals for what he's going to try and get his vert up to. So we'll see where he's at this summer. But I'm so jealous, man. Be that tall and that reach, and then be 17.
The things we could do over here
Yeah.
at 5'9". But hey, we don't need to make excuses. We'll get there. But no, it's super cool. It's funny to just see him because I remember like videos of the first couple dunk camps and him being there. He's this little kid, and now look at him. He's dunking now, 6'2". I think it's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Grow up so fast.
Yeah, it happens. It happens so fast. So hopefully he keeps growing. I don't know how much more he's got, but yeah, I'm 5'11". He's got me by at least 2 inches now. So um, well, man, hopefully he grows even more. So we'll see. He
Yeah.
still he's got one more year of high school basketball. Be a senior next year, and loves the game and stuff. So you have a really good team.
So his
So
goal is to try to play like college ball rather than. I mean, how into dunking is he in terms of like? Does he have sessions? Does he train specifically to dunk too?
his focus is definitely more on basketball. You know, obviously, who doesn't? I mean, I think every basketball player
Right.
likes dunking to some degree, but he's not like obsessed with it to the point where like I know Dylan Hagen, is not playing on his high school team anymore just because he really wants to focus on dunking. He's not like
Right.
that. Where
Yeah.
Dylan's like all in on dunking. Logan's kind of on the other end. Is really focused on basketball, and
Yeah.
you know we'll see what happens after high school. It's not like he's getting recruited or has a bunch of college offers or anything like that. He's a good player, and we'll see how much better he gets, and maybe he'll get some opportunities. It's it's going to come down to how much work he puts in, just like
Right.
anything else. Like if he, yeah, if he really goes crazy and puts in the work, uh, he could have an opportunity to play after high school if he wants to. But I don't know. That was his goal for a long time. He had big hoops dreams, and I think that maybe has changed a little bit as he's gotten a little bit older, and he's gotten into like he's got a lot of he's very into like friends and girls and all this kind of stuff. So some of those distractions uh, are appearing, and so
He's just enjoying life. He's doing him. I think it's really
yeah.
good. And if he ever did get into dunking like that at some point, he has a great baseline. He is by no means um, in need of more bounce. I mean, you can always get more bounce, but he has sufficient bounce to do some crazy stuff.
Yeah. I wondered about that the other day. Actually, I was like, I wonder, is he gonna be like some of these guys that get into dunking like in their 20s? Because most of the athletes that come to dunk camp, the average age is 24.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
realize they were older.
yeah,
I always kind of felt like the demographic was, I don't know, around my age. I thought 18 to like 22 maybe.
yeah. Maybe it's 22, but early 20s is the average age. So I was like, I wonder, will Logan get into his 20s and just like all of a sudden get like crazy obsessed with dunking? I don't know. see.
You never know. Who's the youngest camper that's been to dunk camp? Is it Nate?
So the minimum age is 14,
Okay.
and we've had a ton of 14-year-olds come.
Really? That could
Yeah,
dunk?
that who
Like
could?
tall? Yeah, like tall ones?
Wow. I'd have to really think about that. 14. I don't think there's been, to my recollection, I don't think we've had a lot of 14-year-olds attend camp. I don't think
Yeah.
we've had a 14-year-old who could dunk at camp on 10 feet.
Yeah.
I don't think.
They're
I
like
think
some of the low rimming guys.
yeah, I think we've had some 15-year-olds, some like taller kids that maybe were like rim grazing and stuff. But we haven't had like a LeBron, super advanced athlete like it. I know that they're out there. There's tons of them
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
dunking at 14 or 15, 13, but they haven't been in at our camp that can't think of anybody that was dunking at 14 at dunk camp.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. I didn't realize y'all even went that young. I don't feel like I remember even seeing someone that young at camp, but maybe I will at some point.
There was at Texas. There were a handful of guys that were around that age, 14, 15. Um, there's usually not a ton of them. Yeah, I think from like 18 or 7, I'd say 17 to 25. That's like most of the people there, and then you could get a few of your guys in your 30s, a few in the 40s.
So
Uh,
who's the oldest?
the oldest, I like to call him the most experienced. Uh,
Yeah.
his name is Tom. He's come now. He's been to Utah twice, so this will be his third. He's coming again. He's 55.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, maybe he'll be 56 by the time this camp happens. I think he will be. 'Cause he was 55 last year at camp, and he dunked. He's 6'2", 6'3". Um, takes good care of himself. Does a lot of other stuff too, like he does. He does like those like tough mutter and competes in those kinds of things, and so he stays really active. Still plays a lot of basketball, and so yeah, he's older than me, and that's if you're older than me, that's you're pretty old. So he he's our most experienced athlete that's come to camp.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Well, I am very looking forward to it. And then, Andy, I also just want to say before we end, I really appreciate you hopping on. I'm excited to see you at camp, and I'm going to crush this 9 foot contest. Just wait.
I'm excited to see it, man. The low rim contests are kind of underrated. Like some of the best dunks, those
I'm
contests.
glad Dylan is doing 10 this year. I'm not trying to. Respectfully, that's all him.
Yeah, he's so good. But yeah, that'll be awesome. It'll be great to have you back at camp. I was glad to see. I know you weren't able to go last year, so I was glad to see you had signed up for
Hey,
this
come
year.
back to Texas. I'll go. I swear. I'll be there. Come back to Dallas. 3 hour drive.
We might, we'll see where we go in the future. But Utah will just be our only camp this year. It's gonna be bigger.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
just planting seeds. I'm just planting
yeah,
seeds.
yeah. We'll see. We'll see what
But
happens.
yeah, yeah, man. But I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the pod.
I appreciate the invite. It's always fun talking about dunking, and so I enjoyed it. Thanks for the invite, Nick.
Yeah, yeah.